Dobar dan i dobrodošli u treću emisiju Sat istine u produkciji OPPT Hrvatska i Radio Liberuma. Sa vama su Valter za mikrofonom i Barni u režiji. I idemo odmah dalje. Na liniji imamo zanimljivog gosta sa drugog kraja svijeta koji jedva drži oči otvorene jer tamo je sada 2 sata ujutro. I riječ je o gospodinu koji se zove Grant C, čovjek koji vrlo uspješno i predano educira poništene elemente robovlasničkog sustava, a o njihovom novom pravnom statusu. Htio bih napomenuti da širom svijeta postoje ljudi koji djeluju kako izvan, tako i unutar sistema i predano rade na tome da bi život postao bolji za sve ljude. I pri tome djeluju često sa vrlo različitih pozicija, jer svi smo mi jedno. I jedina razlika između ljudi je u tome što su se neki probudili, a neki još uvijek spavaju. Danas je sa nama jedan od njih, a nadamo se da će nam se pridružiti i druga. Vrlo brzo, čekamo poziv. Dakle, netko ko otvorenih očiju kroči kroz život. Okay, and now switching to English. Today we have a very special guest who decided to stay awake and say a few words to us. It is 2 a.m. in Australia, and here we have Grant C, a man with great determination to educate foreclosed entities about their new lawful standings. And I would like to point out that there are people inside the system and outside the system, often anonymous, working to get things better, because we are all one. The only difference between people is that there are those who still sleep and there are those who are awake. And we have one of the awakened with us today. So I welcome you to Croatian OPPT radio show Hour of Truth, Grant.
Hi, Vladimir. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Because, it's a chilly winter's morning here, and I'm really happy to be sharing this moment with yourself and one people of Croatia. And I thought I recognized that opening tune that you had there, Nick Cave, yeah?
Yeah, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, I would like to go straight to the questions. And
good.
Okay. Well, I was watching your doings under the radar, and I noticed that you use very creative paper technology to educate foreclosed entities on their new lawful standings, or should I say, absence of lawful standings. Can you tell us more about what you do?
Well, simple. My observation is that we've been programmed since birth to accept all alleged authority as the truth, rather than the truth as our authority. So my intent is simply to allege, or simply to question all alleged authority by asking them to prove that they were ever given authority in the first place, because I know I never gave it to them. And so, just for shits and giggles, I politely write and I ask them 2 simple questions. And these are basically questions that I've sort of gathered from Heather Ann Tusi-Jareff's OPPT information. And so the first question is, I generally write and ask, or ask straight out, is, do you have duly verified documentation that demonstrates to me that you represent true government as constituted at the creation of this country? Or 2, do you have the duly verified documentation of your standing, your authority, your law, and the original accommodation agreement with my wedding signature on it, saying that I agree to or belong to your private corporation? Yeah. Now, of course, the genius behind Heather Ann Tusi-Jareff's foreclosure filings make it impossible for them or for any other alleged hierarchy system to ever answer either of these 2 questions, simply because it would be a point-blank admission that they've been operating their little death-till-death slavery system scam for the last hundreds, if not 1,000 years or more.
Yeah.
That's basically it. I usually also include or throw in my declaration of absolute truth and freedom, noticing that we're free will sentient beings, and every single one of us are equal to all, sovereign, and second only to the Creator, whoever you believe that to be. and as such, we all have birthright share and dominion over all the wealth, the minerals, the resources, and the treasures of this land. We all fondly call Mother Earth. End of story.
Okay. Tell me, when was the first time that you learned about the OPPT?
It was in early February this year. I had a friend. I actually had a little challenge with the alleged authorities here. Driving around, I was driving an unlicensed and unregistered vehicle. I had my own plates on it. I got pulled over, got done for all that, copped about $3,000 worth of fines. So at that time, someone said, they sent me a link. Here, you got to have a look at this. And it was the first interview that I heard with Brian Kelly and Heather. And as soon as I heard that, I just knew straight away this resonated with me, and I listened to it at least a couple of times. So yeah, it was early February.
Yeah, that happened to a lot of people, and they recognize the truth behind this UCC filing that eventually set us all free. And people all over the world are waking up and doing stuff to challenge the system. And now we have a lawful ground where we can build our doings about that. So I wanted to ask you another question, and since you work outside the system, but you do have to interact with them because they eventually, it seems that they still want to interact with you, and you of course have the alleged government. And tell me, how would you describe their transparency and transparency of their institutions, corporations that they incorporated?
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way for you, Vlad. Now, you've got to picture this, okay? What I mean is this. We got more chance of seeing Mother Teresa topless at a rock concert than we ever have of seeing a transparent alleged government. At least in this country, anyway. So, for me, is this the overthrow of governments? No, it's the overthrow of criminal corporations pretending to be our true government. What we have here and on every other alleged crown corporation country on this planet is a private corporation pretending to be our true government. And I mean, it's no coincidence that the biggest criminal psychopaths on this planet are and always have been the ones who write the rules that make their crimes legal. And like all alleged governments and corporations, at least before the OPPT foreclosed on them, they were all legal fictions, they were all legal fictions set up for unlawful purpose, primarily to escape punishment for their crimes against the one people and the environmental destruction of Mother Earth.
Yeah, well, we created here one document. It has 59 pages that clearly proves that our alleged government and all of the institutions that fall under it, that they are all corporations, and it's stunning, when you find out that your own country is turned into a corporation, right? What would you say? Is this global? Is this the way that it is all over the world?
Well, yeah, my understanding is, from what I've gathered from all the OPPT information and Heather, they uniformed everything. Everything comes under the UCC, which is my understanding is the highest law on this planet, a uniform commercial code. Yeah. So yeah,
everything is commerce. Everything is commerce. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, commerce. All law is commerce. All law is commerce. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you are educating these foreclosed entities. Tell us a little bit about your experience with your paper technology that you use with courtesy notices, do they work?
Well, okay. Over the last couple of years, I've used a lot of the old system tools, from trust law, constitutional law, the free man stuff, no contract, no obligation, the old just return to sender. I've had a mixed result for myself and a couple of friends. However, and a big however, it wasn't until I discovered the absolute truth, love, transparency, and the intent of Heather Ann Tusi-Jarrett, the One People ground crew, the courtesy notices, foreclosure flyers, the request for documentation of funding, and now the IUV exchange. It wasn't until all of this that I started to personally experience my own sense of infinite value for myself and for all others. But to question, or rather to answer your question, do the courtesy notices and the other One People work? My observation is yes, they do work if they have the energy and the intent of absolute truth, love, and transparency behind them and within them.
Okay, and now we have the second one. No, okay. We are experiencing some technical difficulties, and we are also expecting Anne Bressington to join us, but she just called and we'll call her back.
Yeah,
we'll call her back.
Now.
We'll try to get her live with us. So, Grant, let us continue. Let us continue while I. Okay, we have her. Anne, do you hear me?
Hello?
Anne Bressington, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear us?
It seems that Anne does not hear us. Hang on for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, do you hear us, Anne? No.
Nope.
Okay. We don't hear her. We have her on the line, but we lost.
She can't hear you.
Okay, we lost the connection again. We'll get back to her if we manage to solve our technical difficulties.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Okay. Ne čujemo ni mi nju. Okay, Grant, let's move forward. So you use paper technology, and recently, last week, your Prime Minister Julia Gillard resigned. So, Grant, did you by any chance launch one of your guided paper missiles in her direction?
Yeah, well, I did. Before I discovered, and actually, I don't have a TV here. I don't watch their TV. So the first I heard that Julia pulled the pin was my kids actually told me, because they got a TV at their mum's place. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I did. I sent her, or when I discovered the One People, I was doing the Freeman stuff, and so I sent Julia and a few other actors my notice of understanding and intent and claim of right, and I made a special point to ask her why she and others have what's called a criminal charge sheet and summons issued against them for treason against the One People of Australia. Mm-hmm. She never got back to me about that one. Maybe she was busy packing her bags, I don't know. So Julia, if you're listening, you can run but you can't hide. You've been a naughty girl and you're going to get that smack.
Okay, tell me one thing. What would you say on this? When a company is foreclosed, employees stay at home and they try to find a new job and something like that. But when governments are foreclosed, as it is, written black on white on UCC filings that OPPT made, employees of this government ignore that fact and they pretend like nothing happened. What do you think? What is wrong with them?
Well, someone once said that none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they're free. So my observation is most people aren't ready to be unplugged, and many of them are so hopelessly dependent on the system that they'll ignore the truth and pretend that nothing's happened and nothing's changed. I recently read a quote that sums up your question perfectly though, and I quote, "The people of Earth are presently afraid to retire the old systems of alleged government, banking and their judicial structure because they are not aware of the CVACs or the creative value asset centres that will replace them, even though the complete corruption of the old systems and the institutions is killing them all softly and slowly or hard and fast, depending."
Okay, our technician is signaling me that we do have Anne on the line. Anne, do you hear us?
I do hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, finally we hear you. Welcome to OPPT Croatian radio show, Hour of Truth. Thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Okay, well, I would like to ask you a first question, and I would like to start with a really easy one that you can answer in a single word. Is Australian government a private corporation?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Let's go to the second question for you. So, when did you learn that you are actually a corporate employee, and how did you feel about that thingy?
Well, I started looking into OPPT about the middle of January of this year, and I spoke with Scott Bartle, who was the person to reveal this. And as it rolled on, I just started to look at the laws that we were making again, and it all just fitted perfectly because we had moved so far away from constitutional law. And I found out that we've been under maritime admiralty corporate law for a very, very long time. And that's actually why people can't get justice in the courts.
Yeah. So, what about your colleagues? Are they aware of the fact that they are also a private corporate employees?
Well, they say they're not, but I believe they do know. It's a bit like the Agenda 21 thing. If you deny it, then it's not real. But I think they're going to get a very rude wake-up call very soon.
Okay, since you joined us a little bit late, let me say a few words about you and who you really are. So, Anne Bressington is the independent member of Legislative Council. She was elected in South Australian Parliament in 2006 as the independent member. So you do have some inside knowledge about how your government operates and what is going on and sort of things. So tell me a little bit about these UCC filings that you were pointed to. These UCC filings said that the all governments of the world and all the financial institutions of the world and practically everything else is foreclosed. Can you comment on that fact?
Well, when I first found out about the UCC filings, I contacted a lawyer that I've known for a very, very long time, retired corporate lawyer, and I sat down with him for about 6 hours, and he went through the filings that I had and the information. And he said to me, well, this has absolutely got legs, which means this is right. But what is going to be the problem is how this will be enforced. And he said what it's going to take is for, a large percentage of the population to understand what this means and what actions they need to take.
Yeah.
And of course, in Australia, things move very slowly over here. And but I do believe that all of the resignations last week of those ministers had something to do with the UCC filings. I haven't got anything solid on that. It's just what I believe that.
Tell me, did Snowden affair had anything to do with the fact that your prime minister left politics, and I'm not aware of the fact that some other ministers resigned. They did, right? Recently,
they did. Many of them.
Can you connect that with the Snowden affair?
With the Snowden affair?
Yeah.
Oh, not as far as I know. I don't have access to international intelligence, but I would be more inclined to think that they've all been served. I know they have, with courtesy notices and final notices, and they know that the top people know that they've been foreclosed on, and I think they can see what's happening all around the world, and they've decided to try and get out while they can.
Well, and I asked Grant one question: what is wrong with these people who work for the government? Regular people stay at home when their companies foreclose, but the politician seems to ignore that fact and act like nothing happened. Why do you go to work? You know that your company is foreclosed.
Yeah, well, I've actually signed an oath and bond to the One People as a protector of the people.
Okay, so you bonded yourself to the One People.
I have.
Okay, congratulations.
So thank you. So I'm probably the only lawful standing politician in the country at the moment. And I go to work every day because I consider my job is to be dealing with my constituents, so the people. And I do that every day, and I try and get them out of the messes that the corporations have created for them. And for me, that's a very important part of what I do. And it's a way of me standing up for the people. When Parliament's sitting, and I've got to sit in Parliament, I do that to try and change very, very bad laws that are being put through. So I amend government legislation so that it can take us more back to common law, more back to our constitution. And I've been successful. Last year I stopped about 10 bills from going through in the South Australian Parliament, and if I hadn't have been there, those bills would have gone through and Agenda 21 would have rolled out in South Australia at lightning pace.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Agenda 21. That was the thing that made me notice you, the things that you do, and it's quite rare to see a politician to publicly speak in front of TV cameras, to publicly speak so openly about the things. So in front of the cameras, you disclose the truth about the UN's Agenda 21 and for what it really is. And can you tell us about that event, how it started, and what are the visible results of this brave action of yours?
Oh, gee. The real effects have been that my Facebook page was hacked and cloned. My phone was hacked. My website was hacked. The media basically did a couple of really, really bad articles insinuating that I had a mental illness.
They tried to discredit you. For telling the truth.
That's how they play. Yeah, we all know that's how they play. But after, that was probably about a month of onslaught. After that, and I didn't retract one single word that I said, they basically gave up because more and more people were actually now starting to look into Agenda 21 and what that meant for them. And a talkback radio host in South Australia picked up on Agenda 21 and ran with that for about 3 or 4 days and had a number of experts on explaining what that particular policy meant for our rights, our freedoms, property rights, the right for farmers to produce food, how the whole climate change thing was tied in. So it actually had, after that initial, crappy month, it actually had quite a good effect on people waking up to what was going on. And we've actually got quite a movement in South Australia now that's aware of Agenda 21.
Okay.
And I think that's been a positive thing.
I asked Grant about the transparency of your alleged Australian government, and you know what he said? He said something about that we have more chance for seeing Mother Teresa topless in a rock concert than to have something transparent coming out of the government. Can you comment on that? What is your opinion about the transparency of government?
There is none. They lie, they cheat, they deceive. They can't be trusted. My code of life is if the government tells me to do something, I'll do exactly the opposite, because there is always an agenda with them, and they don't have the guts to actually come out and tell people what they're plotting and planning for us. And we see that with now they're talking about over here forced vaccinations for our children. Parents are being taken to court because they're not vaccinating their children. We've been told that next year, if the opposition get in, that they are going to ban an organisation over here called the Australian Vaccination Network, which publishes scientific results and studies on the contents of those vaccinations. So we are moving more and more towards fascist, communist, Stalinist, totalitarian type regime, and people are really starting to notice that now. So as far as transparency goes, when a government tells you, trust us, we're the government, run for the hills.
Okay, so I guess that you did some great work with this disclosing the truth about the UN Agenda 21. I wanted to tell you something, there is one interesting connection about Agenda 21 and the political campaign slogan at last election here in Croatia. That used the winning political party. Campaign slogan was Plan 21, or translated to English, Agenda 21. Isn't that interesting?
Really?
Yeah. Do you think that it could be a coincidence or just a lack of creativity, or, I don't know, maybe it is a sign of servitude? What would you say about that?
I didn't get what you said last. Sorry, I didn't catch.
Could it be coincidence or just a lack of creativity, or maybe it is just a sign of servitude?
I think it's just, if that was a political party, that was the name of them. Is that what you said? That was their theme?
That was their campaign slogan.
Yeah, I think it's just plain out, in your face, this is what we're going to do, arrogance. And this is what we're seeing in Australia now, is that our government is becoming more and more arrogant by the day, and actually now are starting to implement policies based on Agenda 21 that should have us rioting in the streets.
Yeah.
They're forcing farmers off the land, reclaiming farmers' land. They have changed the titles on land over here, so even though you own a property, you can't do anything with it. You can't build on it. You can't build a house on it. You can't even put so much as a garden shed. And they're using these endangered species to justify restricting you from using your land for the purpose that you bought it for. We're getting charged for every drop of water that we use, and they're now talking about us having to register our own private water tanks over here and pay for every single drop of water that we use.
Why do they do that? Anne? Why do they do that? Why?
Well, because that is what Agenda 21 is really all about. It's stripping you of every single right and freedom that you have and reducing you to nothing more than a slave. And, it's all very much tied into New World Order and all that stuff, as you know. But we've got our local councils and our state government rolling that out in South Australia at lightning speed. And it's absolutely frightening to see that the people mostly are still asleep, because we are not having demonstrations about this in South Australia or in Australia. And I really wish people would get up off their bum and open their eyes and, at least start to march in the streets and let the government know that we know.
Okay, Anne, stay on the line. I have a question for Grant, and then we'll get back to you. And
Sure.
Grant, you're still there, right?
Yeah, Vlad, I'm still here.
Okay,
And good morning,
Anne said that she signed the oath and bond document, protector of one people, and I know that you have a military background. You served in Special Air Service Regiment, and your skills are quite impressive. Gunfighter, unarmed combat skills, infantry, fieldcraft and survival, radio operation, basic demolitions, assault vehicle driver, roping, parachute trained, etc., etc., etc. So, what do you think about this oath and bond document, having in mind that you once protected the private corporation? Would you now, from this perspective, knowing what you know now, choose to join the military, or would you sign oath and bond and offer your services to the one people of the world?
Well, first up, and for the record, I'd like everyone to know that I got out of the SAS before the first Bankers Gulf War invasion. So I never shot anyone, but I did hurt someone's feelings once, if that counts. But here's the truth, according to me, okay? Like many young guys full of piss and testosterone, I joined the army to protect my people against a fictional enemy they called a terrorist. But instead, all of us were being completely bumfucked by a real terrorist, which was the corporations pretending to be our governments, and whose sole intent and purpose was to bomb the shit out of small, peaceful countries, murder millions of innocent men, women and children, our brothers and sisters, and then steal all their stuff. In the corporate world, it's called resource acquisition. In our world, it's called legalised murder. So no, I don't recommend anyone join the military or the police force. Not unless they want to be remembered by their families and friends as a Nazi of the 21st century. So for me personally, when the oath and bond as a protector of the one people was created, I was honoured to be one of the first to put my mark on it, because I saw an opportunity to complete my original oath and bond and my intent to serve and protect the one people of Mother Earth.
Thank you for that, Grant. And by the way, did you know that the first working parachute was constructed by our Croatian countryman, whose name was Faust Vrancic, back in early 17th century, and he actually survived the jump with no injuries from one of the towers in Venice, although he performed this jump in late years of his life. So you would probably not be trained in parachute skills if it was not for this great scientist from Croatia, Faust Vrancic. So next time when you will be jumping out of perfectly good airplane, you can thank Faust for that adrenaline rush. Did you know that? Okay, let's continue. What is happening in Australia right now? Ladies first, of course, and anything that you would like to point out as the information of utmost importance. What is happening in Australia?
What's happening in Australia right now? Well, what we're seeing, I believe, is a slow breakdown of the political system. We're seeing people who have lost faith in the political system and in the major parties. And as you know, we have a election coming up in September, and there are many, many people who are now considering, along with their vote, putting a courtesy notice in the ballot box as a sign of protest and letting them know that we know that they are unlawful in their positions. And I think that's a start for us. We're not really get out in the street and riot type of people, but we are finding ways to make political life very, very uncomfortable for people who choose to serve a corporation instead of serving the people.
Okay, Grant, what is your point of view? Same thing. What is happening in Australia right now? Grant. We lost Grant. So, Anne, I have one question for you. Since you are in the world of politics, and you must know something, and tell us what is the most sensitive information that you are willing to share with us from this world of politics.
Oh, gee whiz. The most sensitive piece of information would probably be the conduct of our politicians behind closed doors. They have a very high standard that they expect of the people, but actually live a very low standard themselves while they're on the job. That legislation is passed in our parliament not to protect the people, but to protect big business, big corp, big industry, big pharma. And what I've noticed probably more over the last 4 years than I did for the first 2 years in there is that it all depends on the strength of the lobby group, as in those ones I mentioned, as to what legislation gets drafted and passed. We have corporations over here within our government that are supposed to deal with injured workers, child protection, a whole range of government departments that, now that I know what I know, it's very obvious that all of this work is done for the corporation. And as a result of that, if you are injured at work and are entitled to compensation, the state will absolutely ruin you emotionally, physically, psychologically and financially before they will give you 1 single cent. So, in other words, if you're not a productive member or unit of the corporation... If
you're not a good slave, right?
That's right, you are disposed of. You're thrown on the scrap heap, and even our courts are implicated in this as well, because they're also corporations. And those corporations will always find in favour of the corporation who put them there, which is government. So what we've got now is a system that doesn't work for anybody but the ruling elite, and people are suffering terribly because of that. And I'm waiting for us to reach that critical mass when enough people have actually had enough and decide to stand up and say, just fuck off, out of my life, and leave us alone. And I'm waiting for the day, to tell you the truth, that these people will be arrested and tried for treason against their country.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to that moment, not only for your politicians, but ours as well, you know. And we have Grant back. We lost the connection for a minute or something. I will repeat the question for him too. Grant, from your perspective, what is happening in Australia right now?
Well, again, my observation is that there's something magnificent happening all over the world right now. As more and more people awaken to the one conscience and are starting to remember who they really are and who everyone else is. My understanding again is that we are individuations of eternal essence, and as such, we are unconditional love, we are unlimited potential. That's the way I observe it.
Okay, guys, let's wrap this up. And do you have any message to your brothers and sisters in Croatia? Grant?
Yeah, I'd just like to read a short quote from one of my teachers, Neil Donald Walsh, who's the author of the book series Conversations with God. And like myself, when Neil talks about God, he's not talking about some big old superhero fiction in the sky. He's talking about a process, and that process is called life. So bear that in mind, okay, as I now share one of his observations about difference versus separation. And I quote, "No one is saying that there's no difference between you, me, and another person. What's being said is there is no separation. Your little finger is different from your thumb, yet there is no separation. They are all part of the same thing, which you call your hand. And your hand is a part of the larger thing that you call your body. In exactly the same way, humans are all parts, all members of the God body. To experience being God once again, all that you have to do is remember who you are. That is, become members once again of the body of God. So you see, choosing not to love all people is choosing not to love a part of you." End of quote. And so my message is simple. Peace and love, brothers and sisters, peace and love. And thank you for allowing me to share this moment with you all. And Vladimir, you can stop thinking, or you can stop picturing that topless Mother Teresa now, okay?
Okay, I will. Okay. And what is your 2 cents? What is your message to your brothers and sisters in Croatia?
Well, remember that the politicians that are wronging you are here to teach a very important lesson, and that is that everybody needs to do and be exactly who and what they are, and that they are actually pushing you to reach a point where you can acquire your own freedom. They're pushing you so hard towards that lesson that we need to sit up and take notice now, and we need to do what needs to be done, and that is value your freedom enough to stand up for it.
Well, guys, this was fucking amazing show, and thank you for joining us in Croatian OPPT radio show, Our Truth, and Grant. And I will leave you now so you can catch some sleep. What time is it? Over there, it's almost 3 a.m., right?
That's right, yeah. And good morning, Anne, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, guys, very, very much. We should do this again, and thank you. Thank you again, and big hello from your countrymen in Australia, from Croatia. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Vlad.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, switching back to Croatian. Switching back to Croatian. Evo, nakon kratkog glazbenog broja, nakon kratkog glazbenog broja pridružit će nam se Dražen i idemo dalje sa našom temom iz prošle emisije. Barney. Evo nas nazad u eteru, dakle nakon što su sa nama bili Grant C. i N. BRESSINGTON iz Australije. Evo krećemo zapravo tamo gdje smo stali prošlu emisiju. Dražene, čujemo se?
Čujemo se, Valtere, čujemo se.
Super, ok. Ajmo dalje. Kaj smo zadnji put? Pričali smo kako možemo izići iz trgovačkog zakona, jel tak?
Da.
To je taj trgovački zakon koji ne prepoznaje ljudsko biće, već samo osobu, pravnu fikciju, jel? Da. Ja bih da to malo još pročačkamo, da malo to još pojasnimo i reci što misliš da je još značajno spomenuti o toj temi?
A što nismo prošli put uspjeli spomenuti, bitne su nekoliko stavki unutar ovoga UCC zakona i trgovačkog zakona. Dakle, budući da u tom, kako smo već spominjali, zakonu živa osoba nema šta tražiti, već samo korporativni element, nužno je bilo da mi sebe degradiramo na korporativni element i tako potpadnemo pod jurisdikciju toga zakona. Međutim, iako zakon o UCC-u ne priznaje ni suverenitet naroda, niti povelje o ljudskim pravima, niti ustave, ništa, on se samo bavi papirom. Uh-huh. Naš eventualni spas, to jest izlazak iz tog trgovačkog zakona je običajni zakon i povelja o ljudskim pravima, a on navodi da zakon UCC mora biti u skladu sa dobrim običajima. Znači, unutar koda UCC-a postoji pravilo 1.103.6 koje kaže da kodeks je komplementaran običajnom pravu koji je i dalje na snazi, osim gdje je obustavljeno prema kodu.
Čekaj malo. Da li to znači da se mi možemo čak i unutar trgovačkog zakona pozvat na
običajno pravo, običajni zakon,
dakle,
i sva prava. Tako je.
Dakle, to je ubačeno u sam kod UCC-a.
Tako je.
Viš, to je zanimljivo.
Da. Znači, unutar UCC koda on kaže da on ne suspendira običajno pravo, ili common law, taj civil law po engleski, ali s time da se mi moramo pozvati na to da ne suspendiramo ta svoja prava. Osim ako neka država ili neki drugi korporativni element nije donio statut u kojem se izričito odbija mogućnost toga prava. Znači, taj lijek u okviru jedinstvenog trgovačkog zakona koji se može koristiti za rezervirati sva svoja temeljna i legalna prava, takva rezervacija prava zadržava vaše pravo po običajnom zakonu, da ne budete prisiljeni ulaziti u komercijalne ugovore nesvjesno, bez svoje volje i sa punim znanjem o svim ugovorima, a što mi ni na kakav način, ni sa državom, ni sa bankama ne ulazimo u nikakve ugovore o kojima imamo potpunu svijest i znanje. Nadalje, običajni zakoni se temelje na pravdi, istini i razumu, a UCC se na svemu temelji, ali na tome se nimalo ne temelji. Rezervacija naših prava, običajnog zakona, nas izvodi iz nepravde apsurdnog zakona vjerovatnosti. Znači, trgovački zakon je zakon vjerovatnosti, jer on se ne bavi i činjenicama, on se bavi pretpostavkama i te pretpostavke, ako ih želimo pretvoriti u činjenice, moramo ih osporiti. Ja?
Dakle, to se vraćamo o čemu smo pričali u zadnjoj emisiji. Zadnji ko ostane na bojnom polju, on je pobjednik. Da.
Znači, tako, također zadržavajući sva legalna prava, možete prisiliti tužitelja da u svakom slučaju protiv vas podnese provjerenu tužbu u kojoj će morati dovesti stranku koja je oštećena vašim djelima. Recimo, država često izvodi ljude na sud ili naplaćiva kazne kao i porezna uprava, a bez da postoji ikakva oštećena stranka na drugoj strani.
Viš,
recimo,
to bi bilo zanimljivo dovesti državu u sudnicu da iznese svoje
tako je, kad pitate u državu u sudnici ko je oštećen, ne postoji oštećen. Znači, ako nema oštećenoga, ne može biti ni kriminalnog ni prekršajnog slučaja. To je po svojoj logici i po svom pravu tako. Međutim, izgleda da u trgovačkom zakonu to nije tako i prema tome moramo izaći iz tog trgovačkog zakona što je god moguće brže, lakše i jednostavnije.
Svojedobno sam ti pričao sa Veronikom Čepemen, baš sam mi postavio pitanje, čuj, daj mi reci, dakle, mi ovdje u Hrvatskoj nemamo nešto što se zove common law ili običajni zakon, jel?
A zapravo imamo, to je zakon razuma neki po meni.
Bravo. Znaš kaj mi je rekla? Rekla mi je, jedina razlika između toga što mi imamo običajni zakon je zato što smo 1300 i ne znam koje, 12. jel? To nešto stavili na papir i to nešto se zove Magna Carta. A vi to niste napravili, ali kaže potpuno ista stvar. Sigurna sam da imate nešto što se zove zdrav razum u vašoj državi. Ako imaš zdrav razum, onda imaš i običajni zakon. Evo, to je ono što mi je rekla i ja bi se s tim apsolutno složio. Mislim, na čemu temeljiti bilo što ako ne na zdravom razumu?
A jednostavno ja isto ne znam. Sve bi se zapravo trebalo temeljiti na zdravom razumu, a ne na zakonima koji su često, da pače i prečesto, evo čuli smo i od gospođe BRESSINGTON, pogotovo u Australiji nemaju sa zdravim razumom apsolutno nikakve veze. Ali ljudi i dalje upadaju u tako iz straha i bojanja od autoriteta, ne oslanjaju se na zdrav razum nego na ono što piše na tom papiru. To je čista birokratska tehnologija, jel? Ako piše na papiru, to je istina. Zdrav razum s time zapravo bi treba imati velike veze, ali nema. Jel?
Pa je, bitno je dakle postavljati, kad neko nešto traži od tebe, bitno je postavljati pitanja iz zdravog razuma. Nije čak možda toliko ni bitno čitati sve te silne zakone, budući da su oni često potpuno apsurdni, ali postaviti zdravo razumsko pitanje često ima puno veći utjecaj i učinak na onoga ko nešto traži od tebe. Kak bi to komentirao?
Ja bi to komentirao da čovjek u svakom trenutku treba biti svjestan ko je on i šta je on. I onda kad neko nešto od tebe traži, uvijek se pitaš tko si ti, šta imaš s menom, bez ikakvog straha, bez ikakvog... Problem je u tome strahu. Evo sad imamo slučaj s ovim fiskalnim kasama na pazaru. Pa ja bi izašao sutra na pazar i radio bi. Ko to meni može zabraniti? To nema veze sa zdravom pameću, to da će neko donijeti kasu fiskalnu na baterije koja radi na placu, ali ljudi svejedno, iako zdrav razum svima nama govori, opet se vidi da država i oni koji donose zakon nema veze sa zdravim razumom. Da.
Dobro, ajmo se malo vratiti još na ovaj trgovački zakon. Postoji još jedna
stavka unutar UCC-a koja ima kod 1/308 koji kaže: stranka koja sa izričitom rezervacijom prava nastupa ili obećava nastup ili daje suglasnost za nastup u maniri koju traži ili nudi druga stranka, time ne prejudicira da su sva prava pridržana. Riječi kao što su bez predrasuda uz protest ili sva prava pridržana su dovoljne. Znači, šta to u prirodi znači?
Čekaj malo, sva prava pridržana. Ajde, objasni malo.
To znači da kad ti potpisuješ ugovor s nekim, u onom trenutku kad si ti potpisao taj ugovor, pretpostavlja se da si ušao u ugovorni odnos i da se odričeš svih svojih prava koje imaš kao živa osoba. Međutim, ako ti uz taj potpis napišeš, recimo, UCC 1/308, sva prava pridržana bez predrasuda ili bez prejudiciranja, to znači da si ti da u taj ugovor unosiš common law, to jest unosiš sva svoja prava koja kao živo biće imaš i nema prejudiciranja i nema predrasuda unutar toga ugovora. Sve mora biti zasnovano na činjenicama. I to je vrlo bitno kad se pri potpisivanju bilo kakvih ugovora koje podliježu trgovačkim zakonom, znači da se ti nisi odrekao svojih prava, to jest da pače da ih pridržavaš. Jel?
Da. Ja imam jedan zanimljivi slučaj, privatni svoj. Dobio sam ti ponudu za zasnivanje ugovornog odnosa sa Plinarom. Ti ne možeš vjerovati šta unutra piše, jel? Dakle, na početku, ne znam, 2., 3. članak, već se pozivaju na nekakav opći pravilnik o nečemu, ne znam, distribuciji plina i tak dalje, jel? I na kraju, jedan od zadnjih članaka spominju jedno 5, 6 ili 7 pravilnika, jel? Dakle, članak zakona kaže: ok, dakle, ugovorne strane su suglasne da se primjenjuju, ne znam, pravilnik o ovome, akt o ovome, razumiješ? Dakle, oni meni zapravo dali su mi mogućnost da potpišem taj ugovor, a da mi uopće nisu obznanili sadržaj tih stvari na koje se oni pozivaju. Ne? I evo, za one koji možda rade u plinari, vrlo brzo će dobiti odgovor od mene, koji će biti adekvatan njihovoj ponudi. Dakle, recimo kad bih ja na takav ugovor, koji je apsolutno ilegalan, nelegalan, po svim nekakvim običajima, dobrim trgovačkim običajima, kad bi ja tamo stavio sva prava pridržana, što bi to zapravo značilo pred zakonom?
To bi značilo pred zakonom da sve one stavke koje nisu u toj ugovoru odnesene i nisu ti javno objašnjene, transparentne, ti se uvijek možeš taj ugovor tražiti da bude ništavan. Što on zapravo u svojoj biti jest, jer ugovor nije solemiziran na neki način, kako se to kaže po nekom bankarskom žargonu, gdje ti onaj koji nudi ugovor na potpisivanje nije transparentan, to jest ne objašnjava ti sve činjenice iz ugovora, što automatizmom po trgovačkom zakonu znači da nije u skladu sa dobrom vjerom. Ako nije u skladu sa dobrom vjerom, taj ugovor se može vrlo lako proglasiti ništa.
Pa ja vidim da me oni pokušavaju zmuljati iz još jednog malog detalja. Moje ime i moje prezime je na tom ugovoru napisano velikim slovima, a imena i prezimena, dakle ovog šefa holdinga i šefa plinare su napisana, naravno prvo slovo imena je veliko, ostalo su malo, jel?
A to smo razgovarali u prvoj, ja mislim čak emisiji. Znači, na nijednom ugovoru ti nećeš pisati malim slovima, nego ćeš uvijek pisati velikima. Zato što da bi ugovor bio valjan, mora postojati vaga u tom ugovoru. A vaga je da pravna osoba potpisuje ugovor sa pravnom osobom. Znači, ako si ti u tom, ako ti ne nastupaš kao DOO, Walter.DOO, onda taj ugovor nije valjan, jer ti moraš biti mrtva osoba da bi mogao sa...
To je jasno, ali zašto je ime... To je jasno, ali zašto je ime šefa plinare i šefa holdinga napisano malim slovima?
Sad to ne znam. To je neki njihov možda propust, jer čim su napisani malim slovima, oni tu preuzimaju neku odgovornost unutar toga ugovora, a po meni to nije im baš pametno.
Ja sam to doživio na ovaj način. To je naravno moje privatno mišljenje. Oni su se na taj način zapravo sebe definirali kao živa ljudska bića koji upravljaju sa pravnom osobom koja se zove, ne znam, Gradska plinara Zagreb. I na taj način su se zapravo stavili hijerarhijski iznad mene,
da.
Budući da je moje ime i prezime napisano velikim slovima. Kaj ti misliš o tome? Jel to ispravno gledište ili...
Ne znam, onaj ko upravlja tvrtkom ne upravljaju živa bića, nego upravljaju direktori tih tvrtki, a direktor je također titula i ona se piše također velikim slovima. Ja sad ne znam, to meni sve unutar, malo mi je to čudno zašto je to napisano tako, malim slovima, što oni hijerarhijski hoće dokazati, ali tu u svakom slučaju možeš izaći iz tog ugovora ili reći njima ja nisam taj, napišite moje ime malim slovima pa mi pošaljite ugovor, što oni neće biti u mogućnosti napraviti.
Pa mislim da ćemo ga uskoro, kad razmijenim nekoliko pisama sa njim, mislim da ćemo to objaviti na našoj web stranici, pa da vidimo.
Pa interesantno je to, jer mi zapravo, moga bi ja ova pisma što ima s bankom, iako oni zapravo ništa niti ne odgovaraju tim pismima, nego samo ponavljaju kao papagaji jedne te iste stvari. Činjenica je da ne vjerujem da ćemo ikad dobiti od njih neke informacije koje možemo mi, jer oni, ja mislim, ne znaju od ovome apsolutno ništa, da oni samo pišu onako kako im se kaže.
Po špranci, vjerovatno.
Po špranci. Čitao sam na internetu jednog tipa koji je išao u ured za matične knjige i tražio od njih da mu reču zašto njegovo ime tu piše malim slovima, a tu piše velikim slovima, oni mu nisu znali kazati jer su rekli da je to ista stvar. Reka da nije ista stvar. I tako, naganjali su se malo, ali oni nemaju pojma o tome, niti znaju objasniti zašto je pisano velikim štampanim slovima, a kad pokušaju unijeti u kompjuter malim slovima, kompjuter to neće da prihvati.
Ne ide.
Ne ide. A to ti je onaj sistem piramide, po meni, gdje onaj ispod ne zna šta onaj gore iza radi, samo onaj na apsolutnom vrhu ima pregled cijele situacije, oni doli obični birokrate, oni zapravo i rade u takvim državnim firmama da ne misle puno glavom i onda državne firme i vole takve tipove koji puno ne propitivaju. Šta sad njega briga, je to velikim slovom ili malim slovom?
Da, dobije svoju plaću
i ti si se, Valtere, naša sad
govor,
pitaj, šta je tu veliko malo slovom? Pusti ljude na miru, nek spavaju. Ti ih budiš iz sna, ej, to ti nije u redu.
To je njihov vlastiti izbor.
Kršiš njihov pravo da spavaju.
Pa čuj, mislim...
Možeš malo i prodrma, malo, ali nemoj puno.
Ne puno da ne bi krepali od šoka.
Pa zato se trudimo postepeno ljude uvoditi u problematiku.
Da.
Zato i ova...
A morat će se probuditi, kad tad mislim, ali nije možda na nama... kad dođe vrijeme skužit će, svak će skužit, kad dođe voda do grla, kad počne...
Evo, moje stvarno duboko uvjerenje da smo stvarno svi jedno. I zaista jedina razlika koju vidim između sebe i ljudi koji mi pokušavaju neku štetu načiniti je to što sam se imao sam tu sreću da se probudim na relativno bezbolan način. Neko možda mora izgubiti kuću da bi se probudio, ali ako je to cijena koja se mora platiti da bi se čovjek probudio, ja mislim da je ta cijena vrijedna toga da se čovjek probudi. To je zaista moje duboko uvjerenje.
Pa moje je uvjerenje da to ide u Božje ruke. Kao, ako se neko treba probudit će se, ako se neko ne treba probuditi, neće se probuditi. Ja se zaista nekako ne zamaram s time, ni šta je cijena, ni šta nije cijena. Ja gledam, ne znam je li to egoistično, ali ja gledam tu samo sebe u cijeloj toj situaciji i ja imam želju da jednostavno od ovome pričam i na radiju i na internetu, ne iz toga da ja polučim drugima ne znam kakve informacije, nego ja jednostavno uživam u tome i kome god ova informacija dobro dođe, meni je to gušto ono što se kaže. Jel? A hoće li se neko probuditi, neće se probuditi, to ja nisam bio ni svjestan svoga buđenja i ne znam kako sam se probudio, ne znam kako sam te informacije odjedanput prihvatio, obuhvatio, shvatio, jel?
Pa ljudima se često to dogode u trenutku, razumiješ?
A tako je, nema logičnog objašnjenja. Jedino je objašnjenje da je to u Božjim rukama i da on tu ima neki softver koji kaže kad to, onda ćeš se ti probuditi, a mi toga u jednom dijelu nismo svjesni, u velikom dijelu nismo svjesni, ali ima duša koja to sve kuži, koja to sve razumije i zna i djeluje po tome, a mi ćemo možda u nekom momentu u vremenu se spojiti s njom i biti 100% svjesni od 0 do 24 sata.
Znaš kaj je Dalmatinac? Mi smo malo zabrijali na filozofske teme, ajmo se mi vratiti... Ajmo se vratiti na konkretne stvari. Zadnji put smo također pričali o časti, o moralnosti u trgovini i...
Da.
I zapravo meni se čini da je ovo povezano s ovim o čemu smo pričali malo prije, jel? Dakle o ovom trgovačkom zakonu.
Ovako, po trgovačkom zakonu najveći, ajmo reći, problem je kad obeščastite svoga trgovačkoga, kako se kaže, kolegu, protivnika ili partnera, jel?
Da.
Partnera, jel?
Čast, dakle čast je...
Čast je ta u trgovini vrlo bitna, jel? Znači, u nekom trenutku kad dobijete neku trgovačku ponudu od neke korporacije, postoje 4 načina na koja možete djelovati prema toj ponudi koju ste dobili od te korporacije. Recimo, dobili ste od porezne uprave pismo u kojem oni traže 50.000 kuna na osnovu članka zakona bla bla bla, jer ste vi porezni obveznik i tako dalje. Prvo što možete napraviti je da časno prihvatite sve što oni kažu i platite to. Znači, ništa ne napravite, nikakvu tvrdnju ne iznesete, nego oni rekli 50.000, ja platio, evo potvrda dostavljena da sam platio, to je to. To je časno, ne može biti časnije, prihvaćate njegovu ponudu. Druga stvar je da časno prihvatite njihovu ponudu, ali pod određenim uvjetima. Jel? Pod određenim uvjetima koje se moraju obavljati, koje ste vi postavili kako bi tužba protiv vas imala osnovu. A ako podnositelj zahtjeva ne bude mogao ispuniti vaše dodatne uvjete, onda je on obeščastio vašu kontraponudu i ne drži do nje, a također se vis-a-vis tog obeščašćenja mora odreći svojih prava koje je naveo u tužbi protiv vas. Je li to interesantno zvuči?
Ma totalno, mislim da...
Ovaj ćemo članak malo kasnije objasniti više, a sad još samo da rečem, postoje i nečasno djelovanje prema ponudi. Nečasno je da rečete da nećete platiti tu kaznu, da vas ništa to ne briga, da vi njima niste ništa dužni i doviđenja. Znači niste pokušali uopće usporiti njihovo, nego jednostavno ste ih odbili. To je nečasno postupanje prema njihovoj trgovačkoj ponudi. I ima, nečasno je također da šutite, da apsolutno ništa ne odgovorite. Znači, u onom trenutku kad se vi nečasno ponesete prema trgovačkoj ponudi, sa druge strane automatski gubite spor pred trgovačkim sudom. Ako odbijete njihove zahtjeve bez ikakvog obrazloženja ili traženja dodatnih dokaza, ili ako šutite, vi ste nečasno postupili prema njihovom trgovačkoj ponudi i gubite na sudu. Znači moramo postupiti časno. Sad, časna ima i dva izbora, ili ćemo platiti, a to nećemo, onda ostaje samo jedan, a to je da postavimo uvjete pod kojima ćemo mi prihvatiti njihovu trgovačku ponudu. Interesantno je da ovi koji pričaju o tom se pozivaju na Isusa koji je u Bibliji u Mateju 5.25 rekao sljedeće. Sporazumi se bez otezanja s protivnikom svojim, dok si još usput s njim, inače mogao bi te protivnik predati sucu i sudac slugi sudskome i onda bi te bacili u tamnicu. Jel? Znači, to u prevodu znači sljedeće. Sporazumi se s onim ko ti nudi trgovačku ponudu, ali nemoj se sporazumiti bezuvjetno. Znači, ja prihvaćam sve što si rekao i ok, ne platit ću. Nego se sporazumi pod uvjetima.
Plinara, ha?
Da. Se čujemo, jesmo?
Da, čujemo se. Plinara, kaže.
Ne, Valter je morao po pivicu skočiti, pa se maknuo od mikrofona, ne?
Aha, ajde, dobro si spomenuo. Vidiš, i ja sam sad žednio kad si spomenuo pivo, ali da još samo spomenem par ovih rečenica šta je bitno u ovome. Ključ ove tehnike da bi bila učinkovita je da se vaša protutvrdnja ili uvjeti vašeg prihvaćanja razumni i zakoniti prema mišljenju suca i porote. Znači, da ne tražiš sad uvjete koje ne bi mogao ispuniti ni Superman, nego uvjete koji su normalni, i što više uvjeta postavite kao uvjete vašeg prihvaćanja, teže postaje podnositelju zahtjeva u skladu s time da je manje vjerovatno da će se pridržati i time čini nužnim za obavljati u skladu sa njegovim zahtjevima. Kad primijenite recimo ovu metodu na poreznu, upravo sve što želite da provjere onima koji duguju i kažu da su slijedili sve relevantne zakone i upravne postupke u postupku utvrđivanja procjene obavijesti prema vama i sakupljanje podataka o vama. A mi iz iskustva nekoga znamo da ni porezna uprava, ni banka, ni bilo koja druga institucija vam ne mogu, evo ovaj iz Australije, kako se zove
Grants
je bio malo prije. Grants. On je rekao da on postavlja samo dva pitanja. Znači, to možemo recimo prema poreznoj upravi. Ok, ja prihvaćam vaše uvjete pod sljedećim uvjetima. Da mi dostavite dokumentaciju koja dokazuje da niste dio korporativne vlade, to jest da niste DOO porezna uprava.
Pod punom materijalnom i krivičnom odgovornošću.
To oni naravno ne mogu dokazati. I dostavite mi, molim vas, dokumentaciju sa mojim originalnim potpisom koja dokazuje da sam vam ja nešto dužan i da stojim pred vašim autoritetom, to jest da sam dužan poštovati članke zakona na koje se vi pozivate. Budući da porezna uprava ni u kom slučaju neće moći odgovoriti na samo ta dva vaša zahtjeva, da ne spominjem da je možete vi podnijeti 10 ili 15, oni su automatizmom obeščastili vašu trgovačku protuponudu i vi ste automatizmom...
Pa evo, kad baš si spomenuo poreznu upravu, prošli tjedan i danas je bio jedan vrlo zanimljiv događaj u jednom našem hrvatskom gradu. Naime, jedan poduzetnik koji vodi nekakav lokal, prošli tjedan je imao posjetu od inspekcije porezne uprave, koji su htjeli izvršiti nadzor njegovog
pljačku.
Tako je, dakle, došli su ga malo oženiti, jel? I čovjek je ispravno reagirao, definirao ih je kao javne službenike, a sebe je definirao kao vlasnika i rekao im je nemate moju suglasnost da vršite bilo kakav nadzor nad mojom privatnom imovinom. I da skratim priču, inspektori su iz lokala otišli neobavljenog svog navodnog posla koji misle da navodno trebaju raditi. Nekoliko dana nakon toga čovjek je dobio poziv od šefa porezne uprave nadležne da prijetio mu je da će mu slati ekipu, da će mu zapečatiti lokal i tako dalje. I čovjek im je rekao, nema problema, ja sam ovdje, čekam vas. I došli su danas u pratnji 3 policajca i otišli su neobavljenog posla. Zašto? Zato što opet nisu dobili pristanak. A kao što smo, ja se nadam, naučili u prošlim emisijama, ništa se u ovom univerzumu ne može dogoditi bez našega pristanka, jel? Tako da vrlo uspješno je odrađen taj posao. Ja se nadam da ćemo tog gospodina uspjeti ugostiti u jednoj od naših budućih emisija, da nam iz prve ruke ispriča kako se to dogodilo. Mislim da će nam zaista mnogo toga moći reći. To je proces koji dalje traje. To je proces koji naravno i dalje traje. Nisam baš siguran da će porezna uprava samo tako odstupiti, ali čovjek zna ko on jest. I kad čovjek zna tko on jest, onda nema problema. Sva pitanja su vam vrlo jednostavno za odgovoriti.
Teško da će popustiti, jer ovi Linićevi reketari su dobili po lampi i sad ih stišće Linić sa jedne strane i onda moraju oni trčati okolo, ne?
Bumo vidli. Kaj bi se dogodilo. Znaš kaj, Dražene, spomenuo si čast.
Da.
Ja bih, evo, ja malo volim pričati, tako da. Ja bih nekoliko riječi o časti. Jel? Dakle, uputio bih slušatelje na dokumenat koji smo objavili neki dan, a koji se zove legendarna emisija 8. U njoj je zapravo sve ono što smo mi pričali u ovim prošlim emisijama i u ovoj današnjoj emisiji, sve je skupljeno otprilike na jednom mjestu. Mjesto i to je jedan izuzetan dokumenat, ima 13-14 stranica, preporučam svakome da ga pročita, lakše će shvatiti ovo o čemu mi pričamo ovdje. Ja bih tu jedan citat naveo iz toga, ja sam si to isprintao pripremajući se za ovu emisiju, ja ću sad pročitati dio teksta iz tog dokumenta. Postoji čast i ona je veoma cijenjena. Čak i u satanističkim kultovima postoji čast, postoje vrlo precizna pravila igre. Čak ni te sekte nisu skroz isključene, naprotiv, i one su povezane na neki način sa ovim o čemu razgovaramo. Postoji čast i postoje pravila. Čak i sotonist koji mora žrtvovati ljudsko biće, najužasnija stvar koju ja i ti možemo zamisliti, na neki način je dužan odabrati svoju žrtvu koja sama krene prema njemu. Dužan je izabrati žrtvu koja se neobjašnjivo osjeća privučena sa strane svoga krvnika. I vojska koja napadne drugu zemlju, jedan od najgorih činova kojima svjedočimo danas, na primjer američka vojska koja okupira Afganistan, dužna je da obavijesti državu koju će napasti o svojim zahtjevima i okupirana država ili ona koja će biti okupirana ima pravo da primijeni zakon o slobodnoj volji i odgovori da ili ne na te zahtjeve. Kako bi komentirao ovo? Čast. Sve su nam obznanili. Stavili su nam sve pred nos i zapravo su oni sačuvali čast bez obzira koliko se prljavim poslovima bave.
Nekako kad čovjek pogleda u svoju unutrašnjost, kad pogleda u svoje pravo biće, da zaista postoji taj princip slobodne volje koji je neoboriv nekako. I sam Bog se ne upliče u taj princip kojega je on ozakonio i pušta ljudima da žive po svom slobodnom volju nahođenju onako kako oni zamišljaju da je najbolje. Prema tome i naši takozvani krvnici i zarobljenici, oni naši krvnici ili naši vlasnici, robovlasnici kako bi ih nazvao, nisu smjeli prekršiti taj zakon slobodne volje, već nas kroz razne igrarije i naše neznanje uvlače ugovore, odnose na koje smo mi pristali. Prema tome ta čast je bitna, jer ta čast podržava taj zakon slobodne volje, a ti ljudi koji upravljaju kuglom zemaljskom znaju da taj se zakon ne smije prekršiti.
I drže ga se.
I drže ga se, tako je, tako. Oni se drže toga zakona. I sve ove igrarije koje mi igramo s njima, mi smo na neki nesvjesni način pristali da se igramo. A to što smo mi nesvjesni toga, to nije njihov problem. To što mi ne znamo, to isto nije njihov problem.
Da, oni su zadovoljili zapravo formu časti prema univerzalnom zakonu, je li tako?
Tako je, tako. Jer svemir, evo ovdje piše, svemir možda jest neutralan, ali uvijek reagira u korist zakona slobodne volje. Znači, to je tako po defaultu. Ali, budući da, zašto ti nisu mogli ući čovjeku u njegov lokal? Jer je on rekao da je njegova slobodna volja da ih ne pusti. I oni to ne smiju. Ako si gleda možda na YouTube-u one što po sudnicama tamo u Americi pa dovedu im 5 šerifa, a on kaže nemate moje dopuštenje niti da me dotaknete. Jer su svi službenici manje više svjesni da oni djeluju pod osobnom odgovornošću. Da nikakva policija, da nikakva porezna uprava, banka neće stati iza njihovih leđa kad i vi tužite na sud. Kad vi tražite od njih obeštećenje jer ste prekršili njihovu slobodnu volju.
Tako je.
Kodeks policije, onaj što nam je neki dan neko posla na mail, piše da policajac djeluje pod osobnom odgovornošću za svako svoje djelo koje napravi. To piše u kodeksu policijskom, što znači da se on ne može pozvati na zapovjedi koje je on dobio, niti se može pozvati ja sam policija pa ko vas jebe tužite mu.
Ali mi mu to moramo reći.
A kako ćemo mu reći kad nemamo pojma?
Mi mu to moramo reći. Evo, to je upravo što je ovaj gospodin i napravio. On je uručio policajcima koji su vjerovatno zaboravili svoj kodeks i svoju prisegu. On je njima isprintao sve to skupa na papir i kada su poreznici došli, policajci su isto dobili svoj komad papira kako bi se mogli podsjetiti svoga kodeksa. I oni su stali zapravo na njegovu stranu. Zapravo su stali na njegovu stranu i nisu podržali onoga, dakle poreznika koji su pokušavali njega natjerati da se obeščasti.
Pa policajac neće nikad protiv kodeksa, ali on tebe prvo pita vozačku dozvolu. I kad ti pokažeš, to znači da si pod njegovim autoritetom i gotova je priča. Ili ako mu izvadiš osobnu kartu, ili ako definiraš sebe kao porezni obveznik. On više ne treba pitati nikakav pristanak. Ti si pokazivanjem tog dokumenta sebe degradirao na pravnu fikciju i on ima jurisdikciju.
Dražene,
on ne krši tvoje slobodno pravo.
Sad si baš otvorio jednu zanimljivu temu, mislim da bismo to mogli imat za sljedeću emisiju. Evo, prekoračili smo skoro pola sata naše predviđeno vrijeme.
Kad su zanimljive teme.
Ali ajmo u sljedećoj emisiji baš pričati o ovom, policajac koji te traži osobnu kartu, bla bla bla, ili vozačku ili prometnu, pa da vidimo kako bi se trebalo zapravo odgovoriti na takav njegov zahtjev. Još bih iskoristio ovu priliku da zahvalim Mrvici iz Italije, koje je ovaj dokumenat koji sam spomenuo malo prije, legendarna epizoda 8, preveo i omogućio nam zaista uvid u ovaj sjajan dokumenat. Stvarno bi ga preporučio svakome da si uzme malo vremena i da ga pročita. Puno toga će mu postati jasnije. Evo, Mrvice, hvala ti puno. Puno si nam pomogao. Eto, OPPT Hrvatska je zaista internacionalna suradnja. Internacionalna suradnja i evo, toliko od mene. Imaš ti kaj još za dodat, Dražene, prije nego što se odjavimo sa glazbenim brojem?
Ugodan pozdrav svim slušateljima Radio Liberuma i nek se samo ljudi ovo što čuju malo nek se usude to isprobati u praksi pa da vide koliko će svoje energije zaključane u tom strahu od sustava do autoriteta uspjeti povratiti nazad i koliko je to dobar osjećaj.
Evo, super. Hvala ti, Dražene. Čujemo se za 7 dana. Hvala slušateljima što ste nas otrpili ovih sat i pol vremena i evo, odjavit ćemo se sa Letu štuke i Šutiš.
Vi slušate Radio Liberum.